Welcome, everybody. It's Don Giannetti, and today I'm joined by Tucker Joenz, a photographer, Project 52 um, member photographer who is getting his commercial photography business rocking and rolling in the state of Florida. How's
Hello.
Hi? How's it going out there in Florida? What's it like out there today?
Oh, it's nice. I think we're like 85 degrees and sunny and definitely beach weather.
What part of
Unfortunately,
Florida are you in?
I'm in the Northeast. Actually in St. Augustine, about 25 minutes south of Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's
pretty nice because I'm not far from Daytona, Orlando. Tampa's only 3 hours away. So
that's a not an easy market, Tucker.
it's it's not.
There's a
No.
lot of
Um,
of that smallish town, that sort of Fort Lauderdale sized town where
yep,
it's just a little tough to
it
get
is. It is tough.
to get the momentum going. But your momentum seems to be going.
Yeah. Fortunately, I moved to Florida about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now, and I have kept ties in DC and Maryland. So um, I've been lucky enough to keep clients that way. And then my brother has opened up some work for me in Charlotte, North Carolina, too. So I'm kind of doing a stretch from Florida to Maryland.
Wow, cover,
Yeah.
covering the eastern seaboard.
That's my hopes for now, and then maybe branch out from that.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? I'd like to see. Let's jump over and hit your portfolio here.
Sure.
First of all, your move from where you were, weren't you in Nashville or something?
No, I was in Annapolis, Maryland.
Annapolis, Maryland. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, your move probably set you back a little bit, right?
it did. I had to regain contacts and kind of get my name known in this area. Um, it's starting with just this small town. St. Augustine's a really small town community, very artsy though, so um, they took to me pretty well, and I quickly branched to Orlando and Jacksonville, working with clients in those two areas as well.
Now, do you do anything on the side as well? I know a lot of us do. I'm a photographer and a designer. I think you're a web designer, aren't you, as well?
I'm a designer, developer, yeah. Previously, my previous life, I've done video and film production, directing and editing, and then I moved into print design, which was laid off. I was laid off in 2010 about when I started Project 52. I was laid off from a small design firm, and our specialty was trade shows. But they
Oh,
cut me loose, and my brother got me started on development. So I was a back-end developer for almost 4 years, and this year I've moved to front end. So I'm doing a lot of JavaScript and responsive CSS kind of stuff, as well as my photography.
that's great. Well, these little extra things. I've got a friend in New York who, went there to be a fashion photographer, and he's having some success. But some success when you're first starting out doesn't buy groceries. Um,
Yeah.
you've got to build into it, and he supplemented his business with some freelance web design jobs, and ended up getting some web design jobs for some pretty high end fashion people, which helped him get in the door to show his photography. So, it all ties together. And of course, if you're doing design and photography, you can certainly tie that together. You know,
Yeah,
um, I've always I've always said I like being a graphic designer slash photographer because I only have to look for half as many clients.
it's true. It's true. I've found that even where I am now, some of these businesses, their websites look like they're from like the early 90s. And I've been able to go in there and talk to them about revamping their site along with doing some photography. So
Yep, absolutely. Very cool. What a lot of people I've done a few of these this week and I keep forgetting, but I'm not going to forget with you. So what's your gear? What's your gear like? What kind of stuff are you working with there?
I'm running with a Nikon D800, full frame. I switched to pretty much all prime lenses. I have one zoom that's I think it's a Tokina 13 to 35, 13 to the 35 millimeter.
Hmm.
Um, but I mainly use an 85. I have a 50, and then a 28. So those are my three main lenses that I run with. As far as lights, my go-to light is I have a Alien B800 with a bunch of different modifiers from beauty dish to softboxes and umbrellas. And then here and there, I'll use my SB 910 and SB 700 for fill if I need them.
Okay, I like that. I like that. That you're not
Uh,
using a lot of long lenses, huh?
no, no. I borrowed a few. Brian Miller, who's new to the portrait workshop, he's local and he's let me borrow his, I think, 105, I think he has.
Hmm.
And I've borrowed 24 to 70s, and I just love my primes. I love being able to get up in people's faces, and I know that back when I started, it was I was nervous at doing it, but I just love moving around and finding those images. And I find that works best for me.
I spent years, and I mean maybe decades. My go-to lenses were always long lenses. And now my go-to lenses are basically 35, 50, 85. And
Yep.
um, and that's what I have for my Nikon kit. And for the Canon kit, I've got all primes except I have the 24 to 105, which
Okay.
I love that lens. I mean, if I have to go somewhere and do like some shots and I don't want to travel heavy,
Mhm.
24 to 105 covers everything I need. I can
Yeah,
beautifully
yeah.
shots at 105.
I when I started out, I was running with an 18 to 200, and I loved that because I never had to take that lens off.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and
So, um,
when I moved from crop sensor to my full frame, I got rid of it because it was a cropped lens. But yeah, I love that I could run with that in my body and get whatever I needed.
when you when you do decide to look into a longer lens prime,
Hmm.
may I recommend you take a long look at that 180 millimeter Nikkor.
Okay,
My favorite
good to
lens
know.
in the world for years was that lens bought me. I can honestly say that lens and a Nikon F4 bought my wife and I a home. That lens,
Nice.
yes.
Okay.
Fashion and beauty, people photography was pretty much my go-to lens. It was on, in fact, it lived on the camera in the camera bag. That was the lens that was on the camera, and I could probably count on one hand how many times I ever used a 50. And now, and now I use the 50 all the time. Things change, you know.
They do, they do. It's funny because I use the 50. Um, I don't think I really took the 50 off much, and then I bought this 85 millimeter, and that's my go-to mostly now.
Yeah, yeah. I had the 85 and the 105,
Wow.
and yeah, I was stupid. You know, at Tucker, I had the 15 and the 16. I had the 20 and the 21. You know, that you need that 21 when the 20 is just a little too wide and you don't want to, take a step forward.
Right, exactly.
And God forbid you trim off, 8 millimeters of whatever on the side of your image by cropping. It's
And
like,
it'd probably be a little bit faster to step forward than it would be to change out your lens.
oh yeah. Plus, carrying a bag with, I think I had 16 lenses in the bag, two bodies, motors with, you know, uh, 8 batteries in each motor. It's like, God, that's why I have back problems today. But
Right? It's funny because I shoot a lot of shows. Music seems to be a huge passion of mine, but I'll go to these shows and shoot these concerts, and I run with my 85 pretty much
Mhm.
exclusively at shows too. And I'll see these guys with these huge telephoto lenses, and we're right in front of the stage, and they kind of snicker at me because I got just this fixed lens.
Yep.
But like I get great shots. It's not about having I can zoom in on the drummer's nose, but
We're doing that. I'm doing those portrait classes, and
yes,
it's really interesting how many of these great portrait photographers that we're looking at used fixed lenses, and you
yeah,
and not only that, but use lenses in that maybe 135 down to 28. Um, a lot of these
yeah.
folks, you're not going to find any long lenses, telephotos. Sarah Moon doesn't use telephotos, these great photographers. It's just been really interesting. The students have really caught on to, there's a
It,
video.
it is interesting. When I jumped into the portrait class with you, I always assumed that people doing portraits use like a 24 to 70 or some of these zoom lenses, but it's pretty cool seeing that they used fixed as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you get into the medium format, the photographers that were doing medium format, they didn't have real long lenses then, you know.
Right.
And so many of the medium format shooters, or look at David Bailey when he started out. He was a twin lens Rolly. I
Yep.
mean, he couldn't even take the lens off. It was basically a 50 millimeter, or on a 35. It was an 80, but basically, and look what they did. I mean, phenomenal work. So
Beautiful work. Yeah.
now, tell
Yes.
me, tell me a little bit about your marketing. What are you doing to get the word out there in that area?
Um, when I started, it was all just hitting the pavement and talking to people, passing out cards. What I've found that's really gained a lot for me is Instagram. Like that's my go-to for a lot of what I do nowadays. I've found that when I talk to people, I've had people. It's funny. I was telling my girlfriend I was out shooting uh, a cyclist thing. I think you just passed it there for the magazine, and it was early morning. It was like almost 7 o'clock. I'm sitting at the bridge here, waiting for the cyclist to come over the bridge just to get a shot of them riding past me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking through my Instagram, and a runner stopped and was like, "You're Tucker Joenz." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "I follow your Instagram. I love what you do." And then they went on. I was like, "It's
Wow.
awesome." I didn't realize that Instagram. You hear about these people, and that in Tumblr and some of these social medias is where people are getting found. But just even in this local community, I've got a ton of people when I go out. They tell me that they love seeing what I post on my Instagram. So I'm like gung ho with that.
Excellent. And are you, I see you're working for magazines. Are you doing work for, have you approached any of the local ad agencies, is what I'm trying to say.
That's where I'm at now. I'm following your finding clients and keeping them uh, course here and putting together. I'm gonna start putting together a new book for the website, which will be really geared towards ad agencies and ad ad campaign photography. I've been doing portraits and editorials for the past few years, and it's been great. But I think I'm ready to move into, the like commercial side of photography now.
Okay. Excellent.
So, I've been going through. I printed out all of my best portraits and still life work that I have, going through there and trying to cull down and get my new portfolio together. And I'm also starting to pay attention to the ads. I don't get a whole lot of magazines or anything to the
Mhm.
house, but I'm starting to, and I'm starting to go through the iPad, pulling up magazines just to see what they're doing with ads.
Yeah.
how they're shooting them, what's selling.
And if you've got one of those bookstores that's got the coffee shop inside it,
Yes.
grab all those local and regional magazines. I'm sure Fort Lauderdale has a Fort Lauderdale magazine.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and
There's.
there's going to be a ton of those ads in there are going to be local. Uh,
Yep.
then you look up find the agency who did that ad. If it's something up your alley type of thing, you find the agency who did that ad. And sometimes all you have to do is call the company and say, hey, who's the agency? And the secretary will say, well, hold on, and she'll come back and tell you the agency because people will do that. Now you've got like real names, real,
Exactly.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
there is an agency out of Jacksonville that I've been talking with. They had me come in to do some design work, well, web development design stuff,
mhm.
and they got to see that I do photography as well, but they see that I do a lot of portraits. So that was one thing there that I was like, okay, I need to start working on a book of stuff that's geared towards picking up commercial and advertising photography as well.
Mhm. And making friends with a couple of art directors that are in that business, especially going in the back way like you are,
Yep.
um, pick their brains.
Yeah.
They'll tell you
Yeah.
what's missing. They'll say, oh, you know what? We don't have a really good, rock and food shooter or something like that. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to go, oh, I'm going to be a rock and food shooter if you don't like
Right.
food, but don't bother with it, right? But if
Yep.
they mention something that is something you'd like to do, that gives you some real serious, you know,
Gives me an in. Yeah. Gives me
yeah,
something to shoot for and know that they need that. So
absolutely. It's very cool. Hey, I want you to tell us a little bit about your shots. I'm going to let you pick the shots that you want to chat about. So I'm going to make you presenter here.
okay.
And and then we can see a little bit of you can take us through your website and talk a little bit about the photographs and what they've done for you, you know, um,
Okay.
and how you're using them, I would guess.
Sure. Sure. Let me go into. So here is my book one. Don't want to sign up for my newsletter here. Um, Now these shots here, um, this is familiar to you because I've been doing the portrait workshop. But this I've known this, especially this one on the left. Uh, I've had a few people come to me looking for uh, some editorial stuff, and this image here was what caught their eye. And again, it was through Instagram. So I've been able to. I don't have the work able to. I can't show it yet because it's not published.
Sure.
But this one here, just I think the light and the contrast really speaks to what I do, and it was able to get me a few, almost five different portrait jobs, editorial jobs from this.
Wonderful.
Um, yeah, and it's those kind of things that I'm starting to see what people love. I never really felt I had a style, and then I had someone come to me about a year ago, and they said, "I really love your work. That you have this like dark kind of comic book feel." And I was like, "Well, that kind of works for me. I I have that background of design. I love comic books, and I guess that's where some of this stuff came in. It's coming through my lens now." This photo here of my friend Forrest, we did this for his PRS profile. He's a sponsored PRS guitar player,
Oh, okay.
and that's gained a lot of interest in PRS and with some other musicians, big musicians. I've had I worked for the radio station here in Jacksonville. I'm their go-to photographer for all their meet and greets, acoustic shows, and then some of their big concerts. They'll have me come out and do behind-the-scenes kind of portraits and
Mhm.
the band's getting ready and things like that. But this one here, the reason it's in my book is because I've had a lot of people have come to me about this image. I'd say it's probably one of my favorite music portraits I've done.
You know, when you
This
talk
one,
about style, it's interesting you said that the other people saw your style before you did. And,
hmm
and I think that's exactly how style comes about. Style comes about from looking back, not from looking ahead.
yep,
In other words, if you go, you know what kind of style I'm going to shoot, I'm going to do this, you're going to fail. It's just not going to work because it's not coming
yeah,
from inside. So you have to shoot and shoot and
exactly.
shoot, and then look back, and there it is. These are two great portraits.
Yeah, this here, again, the guitar one, my buddy Forrest that was at here. This guy here, Josh Willis, he is another musician in Maryland. He grew up with Forrest, the previous guy, and a bunch of bands that are up there. But Josh came to me because of what he's seen me do over the past 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a crowdfunding um, campaign to fund a new album that's coming out actually in the next few days called Missing October. And he's got, I think, the drummer from I want to say Pearl Jam or one of those. I think it's Pearl Jam, and then he's got the keyboardist from Foo Fighters, and then he's got one of the guys from the Wallflowers sitting in and helping him record this album.
Wow.
But he made me exclusive to do the photography for the whole album. We were trying to get me up there to Maryland at one point to do some video, to put together a music video of the recording sessions for him,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it just didn't work out with timing and his budget. So what he also hired me for was I did all his illustration work on the album.
Oh,
That turned into a huge just relationship between him and I, and it's opening more doors to these musicians and people that I would normally not have access to. So
wonderful.
it's
Wonderful.
it's a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah. This one here, this I did a shoot up on the beach in Jacksonville, Atlantic Beach, with this girl here. Her name's Rebecca. She's from Venezuela. She was in town with family and doing some modeling stuff, and I shot her. This was a piece to try to get noticed by another magazine up in Jacksonville, which they really took to. It's a magazine that is doing an article, music article on me, which is pretty interesting. They got a hold of me and said they're doing a whole music issue, and they wanted to know if I could help out. So I said, sure. You know, what can I do? Do you need me to go shoot something, or do you need some images from me from local bands or concerts? And they're like, no, can you answer a bunch of questions for us because we want to do an article on you. So
Wow.
not only are they doing that, but their editor reached out to me and wants me to start shooting for them. So that's
Excellent.
pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, it's you
It's
know that you cannot underestimate the power of doing that. One of the things that, and you know me, and you know probably where I'm going with this, but one of the things that always bothers me was when I sit and read on a forum or somewhere where some photographer who's been doing it for 30 years says, you know, never shoot for free. And all I can say is, you know, you hypocrite, you did it. Everybody
yep,
did it for the magazines. Every
yep,
magazine every photographer who's ever started a magazine shot for free. It was great to see Kyle Johnson on Creative Live saying, "Oh yeah," he said, "God, he said I shot City magazine and some coffee magazine." He says, "I never got anything for it, but I got tear sheets, and the people that I was trying to market to were impressed by the work that I did." How else are you going to
yep.
get the access that these guys are going to give you to do the shooting for them without shooting for them? And
Right, without them seeing what you can do and
yeah,
trust you.
yeah. And if now let's say they have you shoot the 10 top chefs in Fort Lauderdale.
Hmm.
Cool, great. How could you have ever done that without them? Not possible.
Exactly.
Not possible. So
And,
everybody
and what's
scratches each
cool
other's
is,
back.
yep. And what I've found that's really cool, there's two parts to that. What I've found is if I do a shoot for free and it's for someone, there's been times where either someone in the picture or someone else comes to me to buy a copy. And
Hmm.
so I end up making some money from it. Um, Not to mention getting my foot in the door with, a few different organizations that I normally wouldn't. And then
Yes.
the other thing that I've found in the past, I'd say year and a half, you know, I was one of those photographers that tried to charge for every shoot I did. I was going at it for the money, and I kind of stepped back because my development design stuff was being able to pay my bills, and I stepped back and I was like, I'm going to shoot what I want, and if it's free, it's free. I'll figure that out later, and that really seemed to build a lot of traction with my work.
Yes. The more
Um,
you shoot, whether free or personal projects or whatever it is, the more you shoot, the busier you will become. It's kind of like, it's kind of a law
yeah,
of return.
yeah,
People see you shooting, they know you're busy, they see your work more and more. It's pretty cool.
it is, it is. And I've tried to give that advice to a few photographers that I know, throughout the U.S. That are getting frustrated. They see that I'm working and they're like, I just can't get no one to pay me. I'm like, well, don't worry about shooting for the money. I understand they got day jobs too. I'm like,
Hmm.
just do what you love and just keep putting it out there. Make sure that you're getting in front of the people that you want to work with, and the money is going to come sooner or later.
Yeah, and that's one of the mantras that I'm always saying is, before you can charge to be a photographer, first you have to be a photographer. And being
Yep.
a photographer isn't a business card and a camera. It's the fact that you shoot images all the time. Who are these guys? Is this a band?
Yeah, that's this one here. Great story here is this band. When I moved to St. Augustine, I would I kind of have to credit this band here. Their name is Love Chunk, for a lot of work and get my name known in this town. They they're a great group of guys. They play only originals, and it's kind of beachy reggae kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
But doing this photo for them, I was brought in to shoot a project called Local Honey, where 15 of the local musicians here, some of them have done, huge tours and things back in the day, and now they just reside here playing music locally. But these 15 people put together a crowdfunding and went to a plantation house out in the middle of Florida for a week and wrote 15 songs. Each one had their own song and just collaborated on it. But because some of the people that started this project saw my work with this band here, they invited me to document it. There was a few different magazines that wanted to get out and do the story, but they didn't want them because they felt like it just was gonna disrupt the vibe of the creativity going on. But
Wonderful.
they seemed to like my work and they brought me in, and it was cool. I documented the recording. I was able to shoot their celebration party for the crowdfunding people, and then I did headshots just for myself. Um, right before the celebration party, which ended up being used in their documentary film. That was the other thing is it was a week of recording 15 songs, 15 artists, and they also filmed it and made a documentary. So I got to be part of that. They used my headshots that I took as the credits at the end of the movie. So again, this band here, Love Chunk, I have a lot to credit these guys for. I've helped them out as well. Returning the favor, where I just recently revamped their website because they're on a really tight budget trying to get an album out. But I was like, you know what? You guys have helped me so much that let me help you. I just put together a quick WordPress theme for them, and and they're rocking. I see big things for these guys, and they've done a lot for me. So
Very cool. When will we be able to see the images from the shoot?
from the local honey.
Yeah, no, from the shooting the headshots and stuff that you did of the musicians. You're waiting for the article to come out,
Oh
or?
no, let me pull those up for you. I didn't put them on my site because they just did their premiere, and I didn't want to ruin their everything that they had going on. Let me pull this up. 500 pixels. This is another site that I tend to love, and I've got some pretty good exposure on here as well. And there you go, you see them again. So the local honey, where is that? It's down here. No, I put them on here. Shoot. I didn't. Well, I need to get those up. It's probably because I didn't want to ruin everything that they had going with their buzz on the premiere and getting
Sure.
the film out. So yeah, I'll have to get those up and put them on my. I want to do a blog post on that whole thing as well to gain some traction now that they have their album done and their DVD out. So I'll have to get those out. But while I'm here, these images here that was a pretty cool story. Nitrous Circus, which is a like Evel Knievel kind of X Games traveling tour, and they also have a movie out. My buddy, who is right here, Street Bike Tommy. Tommy, he saw my work. He's from Maryland, and he saw my work for a band, Hot Tub Limo, and he brought me on last summer to shoot a exclusive. They brought out these. It's called a shredder. It's like a jet ski on land with tank treads, and he brought me out to shoot and document that whole process and do some product photography with the shredder and the model. And in the process, again, I ended up taking headshots of these guys, which I've come to see these featured. Some of these guys, like this guy is in Australia, and he uses this as his profile, which his band or his sponsor, LKI, has hit me up a few times, and I'm trying to get them to let me do some lifestyle photography for their brand. So
Wonderful.
That's pretty interesting as well.
Wonderful. So what's coming up next for Tucker?
Next is I'm really putting together a game plan to start shooting ad stuff. I want to start getting together with a group of models and do some of these things where we go out and they have fun and I'm shooting them having fun. I haven't done anything like that, so it's going to be a challenge, but I think a fun challenge to say. I really just want to start pushing into advertising commercial side. I've been making a name in the music industry and editorial photography, and I won't stop that. Music's a huge passion of mine, but I think if I get into some of this commercial side, it will help me kind of be stable as a full-time shooter, and then I can do my development on my time when I want.
Cool. Well, you're going to make those changes, make those things happen. That's the thing that I really one of the reasons I brought you on here to talk about was that you are making things happen. You're making the waves.
Yeah, it took a little while for me to understand what I needed to do and make the traction I'm making now, but I didn't let go. It's such a passion of mine, and I've got to thank you and all these workshops that you keep putting out, because it's really opened my eyes and kept me going. And then the Project 52 group itself they're so motivating, and they they keep pushing that bar for me, and all I want to do is like keep going higher.
Yeah, yeah, they are a great group of people. That's
You know,
can't get any better than that.
no, I jumped into that portrait workshop with you the first round, and I didn't know what to expect. You know, I thought we were all going to kind of it's going to be hit or miss, kind of like some of us were when we started out with Project 52 and we weren't we didn't know what to do. But I haven't seen a bad photo out of that group yet, both groups. So it's a lot of fun.
That sounds great, man. Um, Thank you. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your work and how you're making it happen there and some of the jobs you've done. That's really cool, Tucker. I appreciate it very much.
No, I thank you. I thank you for having me on, and I thank you for all the guidance that you've given us over the past 4 or 5 years. So I'm excited to see what the future has in store.
Oh, thanks for the kind words. Listen, I'm going to hit the recording off here, and
Okay.
then we will spend a little bit of time together. So don't leave, as I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else. Thanks, folks, for coming along and meeting Tucker Joenz up there in. You're north part of Florida, right?
Yeah, northeast corner.
Northeast corner of Florida. So, and Tucker says anytime you're in the neighborhood, you can crash at his place.
Yes. No, I try to encourage people to do that, you know, when they come down this way. We have an extra room, and I always
I would
enjoy
really
people
rather
staying
crash at her place, Tucker, but obviously that's not going to happen because she was just visiting.
Right.
Fantastic. Thank you, man.
Thank you.